So you want to take a gap year. My name is Darcy Jones. I'm one of the assistant directors for career coaching and education here in University Career Services. We are located in Haynes Hall on the second floor. And so from this presentation, here are some of the learning outcomes that you will get from today. Students will learn about gap year options and opportunities and be exposed to programs that they can participate in. Students will understand that everyone's gap year may be structured differently depending on what type of experience they're seeking to gain. And students will understand the implications of taking a gap year and how it may affect entering back in the workforce and salary. Here's a brief agenda of what we will cover today. So first, I'll give you an overview of University Career Services, aka UCS. I'll tell you all about who we are, what we do, and give you a little tour of our website. Also, we'll talk about what is a gap year, some gap year pros and cons. Also, structured gap year programs such as Peace Corps and Americorps. And then we'll talk about the Bridge Year program that's currently at UNC. And then we'll talk about how you can create your own gap year. And then we'll end off with some upcoming sponsored events and question and answers. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please don't hesitate to stop, just unmute yourself and talk, because with my double screens, I cannot see everyone because I have the presentation up on two screens. So please just unmute yourself if you have a question and ask. With that being said, we'll go ahead and jump into our presentation. We'll start off with the intro to University Career Services. These are our student-facing team. And so what that means is the people that you see on the screen are career coaches. We work directly with students. We're the ones that you book appointments with. And some of the appointments that we offer are career exploration. So if you're still trying to explore what you want to do after graduation, or you're trying to find different career paths and you just need some coaching, we do appointments for that. If you want to talk about gap year, all that is encompassed in career exploration and coaching. We also do career assessments. That goes hand in hand with career exploration. So if you're looking to switch majors or for a different career path, that is something that we can talk to you about as well. We also assist with the job and internship search. So if you're looking for an internship for the summer during the school year, or if you need help finding a part-time job or your full-time job after you graduate, we are able to help you with those services as well. We have different platforms that we recommend in our office, as well as different internship, such as our micro internship program with Parker Dewey. We also have a new platform called Forage, where you can do virtual work experiences and you earn certificates. So definitely book an appointment with us to learn more about some of these opportunities. We also help with your resumes, cover letters, CVs, basically those foundational documents that you need to start the job search. You want to get a professional look at them to make sure that they are good to go, and we can help you with that. We also have someone in our office, you'll see her down here, Serena Hodge, who specializes in pre-graduate and pre-law advising. So if you're thinking about graduate school or law school, it's never too early to have that conversation. So I highly recommend booking an appointment with Serena. We also help prepare you for career and internship fairs. So whenever there's a upcoming career fair, we do career fair cram sessions. We'll teach you how to engage with employers, how to network, just how to feel comfortable in a career fair and knowing what to expect in a career fair. So you don't have to feel nervous about going. We can help prepare you for that. And we also do LinkedIn profiles, and we can help you with your handshake profile as well. LinkedIn is definitely very important. So if you don't have a LinkedIn, I highly suggest creating one and then coming in, making an appointment with us, and we can help you put that together. Same with Handshake. Handshake is how you book appointments with us. There is an app where you can download Handshake as well. So definitely encourage you to fill out your Handshake till you get to the 100% mark. And if you need any assistance with that, just contact one of us. And lastly, we do mock interviews. So if you need help preparing for an interview, you're able to book appointments with us as well. You can tell us what type of interview it's going to be, what's the industry, and we'll do our best to provide the best questions possible to get you ready and give you feedback on how to be successful throughout an interview. This is the home page of our website. Our website is going through a revamp. And so just wanted to show you, like, we have various tabs where you can, if you're exploring your major, you can definitely go into here. We have career readiness things, resume and cover letters, interviewing tips, the internship search, networking and social media. So definitely take some time, explore our website. If you want to do it with a career coach, that is also an option. So we are here for that as well. And now to really jump into what we're here for today is learning more about gap years and what a gap year is. So a gap year is a semester or year of experiential learning, typically taken after high school or prior to starting your career, or after you complete your college education, in order to deepen one's practical, professional, or personal awareness. Students who take a gap year often choose to either travel, they find a job or an internship, they do volunteer or service work for some of these bigger organizations like Peace Corps, Americorps, City Year, just to name a few. Surveys have also shown that between 3% and 5% of students take a gap year right after high school. And many students feel like they're academically and emotionally ready to start college right after high school graduation. And so they built momentum and want to continue climbing towards their career aspirations. Others, however, they see a gap year as a chance to learn more about themselves and to grow and see the world. So tell me more about gap year. Usually what motivates students to take a gap year, everyone embarks on a gap year with a unique set of goals. That's going to look different for everybody, depending on why you want to take the gap year and what you want to do with your gap year. Some of the skills that people gain from gap years are rational skills. And how do students share their gap year with employers? We can talk, we will touch on all of that today too. And so this is just a graphic just to give you an idea. We're gonna watch a quick little video. Cara, let me know if you can hear it with a thumbs up.
No.
Okay, we may have to skip the video, but it's basically like, should you take a gap year? And we're going to talk about that in this presentation anyway. Here are some gap year benefits, intentional gap year benefits. Some are providing clarity and purpose, like this is your chance to explore, to figure out what you want to do, what you don't want to do. Taking a gap year also has the opportunity to improve your earning and business potential, because you have a global background and you've already immersed yourself in the professional world. So you can hone in on that experience to earn more money because you have more experience than the average person coming straight out of college. Also, some of the other benefits are improving your academic outcomes, such as GPA, your time to graduation, your leadership, just because of the skills that you gain with immersing yourself in the real world. Also, another benefit is exploring different career interests. This is your opportunity to learn, to shadow, to network, to explore all your different passion areas so that you can know what you like and what you don't like. What you don't like is just as important as what you do like. And also, this is the opportunity to pursue part-time or unpaid opportunities. So you do have the opportunity to make money, but I wouldn't turn down a position just because it's unpaid. if you can't afford to, just because of the experience that you'll be getting. And then also the opportunity to travel abroad. Not everybody gets to take advantage of that. So if you can, I definitely recommend it. And then just taking a break from academia. Some of the pros of taking a gap year. So you'll get time to prep for grad school and the workforce if that's what you decide to do. So some students, they benefit from an extra year to develop that maturity and independence required to succeed in graduate school and the workforce. Also, you can discover new passion areas. You can learn a new language, you can try a new instrument, you can take up a different hobby. A gap year just gives you the time and freedom to pursue activities that could turn into lifelong passions. And then also, as I mentioned, like traveling abroad. Some colleges, they only focus on traveling abroad for certain majors. And so this may be your opportunity depending on if it's not pushed for your major. And so like once you begin your career, taking off, 2 weeks at a time isn't the easiest thing to do. So, being able to do that before you start your career will really give you that like once in a lifetime opportunity to, travel abroad and kind of be worry free. And also you can gain professional experience. Your gap year is something that you can translate into your resume. That's why you should be very intentional about your gap year so that you're able to talk about it in job interviews and that you're able to express like what you've learned and how that gap year has helped shape you into the professional that you're becoming. So some of the cons. So you've pretty much been going full speed probably since the first grade, probably even kindergarten, working hard, getting good grades, spending every waking moment doing something amazing. But the chance to take a year off can seem very tempting. But I tell people definitely proceed with caution. You want to make sure that you consider all aspects of a gap year. Just because, it seems appealing, like you can take off, you want to plan accordingly. You want to make sure that, you have a plan, why you want to take this gap year, what you hope to gain from this gap year, and that you budgeted for this gap year because taking a gap year is not cheap. Also, just some of the general cons about a gap year is it's expensive. While financial aid can cover your study abroad expenses in college, it won't pay for a pre-college backpacking or after college backpacking trip across Europe. So students targeting financial success after college often calculate that it doesn't make financial sense to take a year off. So I definitely tell people like, look at your finances, budget, if you're able to do it and wing it without like having to get a part-time job or, just a random part-time job that's not geared towards your gap year, really consider what you're doing. If you're still set on taking a gap year, just go for it. But keep some of these things in mind. Consider your motivation, why you're taking that gap year. Make sure that you make a plan. You want to plan to a T in what you want to do, what you hope to gain. You want to treat this like a job. So if you're spending 6 months volunteering in an underprivileged community, don't hide that experience under volunteer work on your resume. You put it under employment history where you can have something that sets you apart from other candidates. And also be ready, as I said, to share why you took this gap year. Be prepared to tell your future employer all about your gap year experience. And this includes discussing the volunteer component, the career exploration, the paid work, and any unexpected experiences. And just tell how that gap year was an investment in yourself and how that's built you into the person that you are today. And also just be smart about social media. If you're wanting to position your gap year as a transformative experience on your resume, make sure your Instagram feed reflects this. If every gap year picture depicts a party, you might not be putting your best foot forward. So just make sure you consider what you're putting out there online as you start your professional search. And so what can you do during a gap year? Definitely travel, take the time to travel the world, see new cities and countries, get to know how people in other countries live, and can give you a fresh perspective and provide you with innovative ideas or methods that can bring to the workforce or your academic career. You may even learn a foreign language and become fluent enough to add this skill to your resume, which I definitely highly recommend. You can also use your travel time to attend a conference in another country. So you can learn, you can still, add on to what you're already learning. And then also you can volunteer, whether you volunteer in the US or another country, that can help you develop transferable skills while also teaching you how to work well with a diverse group of people. Improving these skills can help impress managers and help you find greater success in your future employment. Get a part-time job. So if you're not ready to start full-time employment, you can always use your gap year to gain experience with a part-time job to ease that transition into a full-time career. And you can also take a few classes while working part-time, whether that's taking a few classes like to get your GPA up, if you're applying to like medical school or something, or, just take a few classes in something that you're interested in. Maybe you want to learn a foreign language. You can also work on grad school applications and prerequisites. So if you're applying to medical school, graduate school, law school, that takes a decent amount of time. So taking a gap year allows you to spend more time working on those applications. And since you have fewer demands during a gap year, you have more time to reflect on your time in college. So this allows you to write better personal statements. And you also have more time to gather your application materials and focus on submitting a quality application. Also, you can take this time to improve your academic credentials. So if you don't have the required coursework to apply to that specific program, like medical school, for example, if you didn't get all those sciences in, this is the time to take those. And then you can prioritize those classes since you have less demands. Also, you can spend time in your gap year preparing for those standardized tests that you may need, such as the MCAT or LSAT or GRE, and it'll give you more time just to focus on that. Some other things that you can do during their gap year is leadership training programs. So you can develop leadership skills and get certifications in different styles of leadership. Language immersion programs where you can learn a foreign language, possibly travel to a different country to be immersed in the culture. Cultural exchange programs where you go live abroad and live with a family of a different culture other than your own, so you can become immersed in their culture. And if you're into nature and wildlife, there are plenty of nature and wildlife programs out there where you can learn more about nature and wildlife. And then also teaching programs like Teach for America or Teaching Abroad. Most of those are like 1-year commitment, so they are perfect for a gap year. And then you can complete a structured gap year program. When doing my research for this presentation, I found out there were so many structured gap year programs that are out there other than the ones that I already knew, like City Year and Americorps and Peace Corps. There's so many more, and I'll share those with you in a couple slides. So gap year and year of service programs. So I found this great website. It's oberlin.edu/career. And they have a huge list of international and US based gap year and year of service programs. So these are perfect if you decide to take a gap year right after college. You'll see number 1 is Americorps. City Year is on here, City Hall Fellows, Green Corps, Health Corps, Indiana State Government Governor's Fellowship Program, Institute for Women's Policy Research, Juilliard School, a 9-month professional apprenticeship program, Lutheran Volunteer Corps, New York City Urban Fellows Program, Project Horseshoe Farm, Quaker Information Center, what else? Venture for America, Youth Service Opportunities Projects. And so these are just some of the ones that are in the US that I wanted to share with you, but there are a lot of options for structured gap year programs. If you're looking for a program where you have to apply, you have someone giving you direction, and you have an end goal in mind. And most of these are 1-year programs. So definitely something to consider and look into. Also, we'll go through some of the bigger ones. Americorps is the only federal agency tasked with elevating service and volunteerism in America. Americorps has a lot of great benefits. They are based in the US, of course, so it's volunteerism with a purpose. Peace Corps. Peace Corps is hosted by 60 plus countries. Most volunteers serve 2 years, but there are opportunities to serve between 3 and 12 months in certain fields. So Peace Corps is definitely something to look into. You receive training, housing, travel, and a stipend plus medical support and career support and just other benefits that can help you on your gap year journey. And so if you're interested in Peace Corps, we do have a Peace Corps strategic campus recruiter in our office, Abby Manwood. She couldn't be here with us today, but I did provide her information. So if you are interested in the Peace Corps, you can schedule a virtual or in-person appointment with Abby. And this is her email down here. So if you have any questions about the Peace Corps, definitely reach out to her. And if anyone has not heard of this program, here at UNC, we have a program called Global Gap Year Fellowship. And it's a program, it has 2 components. The Global Gap Year portion is for incoming freshmen. So if they decide to defer their acceptance and take a gap year before they come to UNC, they can travel as a cohort to do a structured gap year. But the bridge program, which I'll get into a little bit, it applies to students who are already at UNC. So if you could dedicate a year between your sophomore and junior years to do public service anywhere in the world, where would you go? If y'all don't mind just dropping in the chat, where would you go and what would you do? Okay, and we'll share some of those whenever I start seeing some responses. And so why take a bridge year? So the bridge year, it applies to the students who are currently sophomores in good academic standing here at UNC. And so why take a bridge year? From exploring interest in the real world to learning how to quickly adapt to new environments, fellows return to college with life lessons that leave them better prepared to take advantage of their undergraduate careers. Experiential learning through traveling, working, and engaging in service allows students to develop skills that a classroom just cannot provide. So definitely just that hands-on development that you'll get from taking a bridge year. And I'll tell you a little bit about who is eligible for this bridge year program here at UNC. So students must be current sophomores and in good standing with UNC to apply. Students may be traditionally underrepresented in global engagement. They're encouraged to apply. But this is not limited. This includes, but it's not limited to students of color, first generation students, students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, and students from rural locations. Previous travel experience is not required. So basically, if you're a sophomore and in good standing here at UNC, this is something that you should definitely consider. And so I just got a few comments in the chat about where people want to go. Thanks for sharing, y'all. See Thailand, Myanmar, Central America, Cape Town, Kazakhstan, Israel, South Africa. Okay, thanks for sharing, y'all. And just more about the fellowship. This is Sarah Smith. She's the director of the Global Gap Year Fellowship. And so each year, the selected fellows will be required to participate in a 2-week summer institute that's usually in July. And fellows will also be encouraged to attend the re-entry retreat with the Global Gap Year Fellows in the fall of 2024. So this is what the bridge year timeline looks like. Usually, the application will open around January. In February, it is due. February, they'll select their finalists to participate in interviews. March, the finalists are notified of the decisions. And then in July, the fellows attend that summer institute at UNC with the Global Gap Year cohort. And then they go on their bridge year. So they have to do at least 6 months of service abroad. And then when they return in September 2024, for your junior year. And so if you want more information about that program, Sarah Smith, again, is the director of the Global Gap Year Fellowship. And you can just type Global Gap Year Fellowship in UNC in Google, and her information should come right up. So in doing my research for this presentation, I found the Ultimate Gap Year Planning Guide, and I will actually put this guide in the chat for you all before we, I'll put the link to this guide in the chat so you'll all have it. But this is one of the best resources I found while researching, that just tells you everything that you need to know, as well as actual worksheets that you can use, like from planning out your goals, to what activities you plan to complete, to the length of time you plan to do it. This is a really good resource. This is the example gap year timeline of how to, write out your goal. So I definitely encourage you all to read through this guide. I will put the link in the chat in a few right before we get off. But yes, this is a great guide. And here are just some frequently asked questions about gap years. How do I get into the job search after taking a year break from college? So during your gap year, you should have gotten a better sense of what direction to go in with your career. So when looking for a job after that time away, a good first step is reaching out to the connections you may have in your network that can provide you help in your search, or possibly a letter of recommendation on your behalf if needed. And so how can you prepare for a gap year financially? Once you determine like how you want to spend your gap year, then you create a budget to understand realistically how high your expenses will be compared to how much money you will have on hand. So if you plan on enrolling in a post-bac program, make sure you know the cost up front and ahead of time so that you can plan accordingly. And overall, having a budget in place can help you plan your gap year just more strategically. Right, and then here are just some upcoming UCS events that we have scheduled, and that wraps up what I have on choosing a gap year. Does anyone have any questions?
Would you be able to link that the book you were talking about in the chat?
Yes, give me 1 second to get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Would you be able to send a link to the events for career services, or like go back to that slide, or so I can snap a picture or something?
Yes, I can put it up. Give me 1 second and I'll display that back. Let me get this link for you all. Okay. All right, any other questions?
Thank you.
No problem.
So when people like take courses after graduating college, is it usually like how do post-bac programs work? I'm just curious.
It really just depends on what type of program you're entering. So the requirements look different for each one. And so it really just depends, like, are you doing it for medical school? Are you doing it, like, it depends on what you need.
Right.
And so that's a very specific question, just depending on like, if you could be a little bit more specific.
Yeah. Do you know like how many years people would usually spend in those? Is it like 1 to 2 or?
It's usually 1 to 2.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I say we have a question in the chat.
Sorry, I can't see it.
I can read it for you real quick.
Okay.
So then usually grad schools ask for letters of recommendations. How do you navigate that when in the post-undergraduate gap year world?
So definitely, while you're here at UNC, network, and keep in contact with your professors, with your advisors, with those in your network, so they know what you're doing, so that, you know, when that time comes that you need letters of recommendation or someone to serve as a reference, they are still familiar with you. They know what you're doing because you kept in contact with them. And even if you decide to take a gap year or do something, like eventually you'll meet people, whether you're doing a job or you're volunteering, most likely you're going to have someone that is overseeing you. So build a good relationship there so they can speak on your behalf too, whether that's serving as a reference or providing a recommendation letter. Any other questions?
Hi, that was my question that you just answered. Thank you for answering, first of all. So that's not frowned upon by graduate schools to use a professor from, let's say, a year ago?
No, not at all. Because especially if that professor can speak to your academic abilities, that's perfect for grad school.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, if we're seeing no more questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Any final thoughts or questions?
Do you know if like employers and grad schools prefer whether you do like a post-bac like at like a community college or like a 4-year type of university, or do they not like care?
I don't think that part really matters as much as like you getting that experience and making sure that you have the prerequisites that are needed. It doesn't matter where it comes from as
Okay,
much.
great.
Yes, this session will be counted as a campus life experience. Any other questions? All right, Cara, we can end it if there's no more questions.
Actually, I had a quick question. My internet's been cutting in and out, so I
Mhm.
missed a good portion of it. Will you guys be sending out the PowerPoint?
There'll be a recording uploaded on YouTube real quick. So whatever you missed, you'll be able to like go and find it as well.
Awesome. How will I find the YouTube video?
Yes, it'll be uploaded within the next day or two on our UCS YouTube page. So if you do go to our website and look up, you also should be able to scroll down and it should be linked like on the homepage.
Yeah.
But also if you do just go to YouTube and just look up UNC, UCS, it'll pop up. So whichever one.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
All right, thank you all for attending. If it's no more questions, we are going to wrap up.